Well, I said I would do this game again at some point, and I'm finally getting around to it. Somebody in the comments spurred me into it. They were offering advice, basically how to get through the game, and somebody else asked if I would do this series again. So this is for you guys who asked in the comments. I doubt I will do a very good job of it, but we're going to try again. We're going to play Hidden Agenda. Springboard presents Transfiction Systems Production. Man in the Box. Hidden Agenda post-revolutionary game. And these are all the wonderful people who made it. So let's see, we'll just begin. I haven't played this since last time, so it's going to be fun for everyone. Let's see, we will be, how about just Presidente, Plump, Helmet, Punk. There we go. Congratulations, Presidente. With the completion of a formal signing and ceremony, your term as President of Chimerica will officially begin. Please sign the official form and get ready for the first press conference. Let's see, mouse doesn't work in this game. Man, this game's old. But it is awesome. A crowd of reporters presses towards you. President Helmet, one calls. There has been much talk recently of the need for justice. Which of these would be most important in achieving a more just society? Protect citizens from violent repression, eliminate government corruption, or ensure the free distribution of information. I don't know what I went with last time. I think I went with eliminate government corruption, but I'm going to go with ensure the free distribution of information this time. We'll let the people have all the knowledge and they can decide what happens. The power is in their hands. Another reporter pushes to the front and raises her hand. Everyone agrees that we must develop our nation's economy. But what should be the first priority of this development effort? Promoting the growth of the economy, distributing the nation's wealth equitably, or protecting the free movement of capital? Basically, I don't really want to worry about capital. That's the movement of money. It should be fine as it is. Distributing the nation's wealth equally will, I don't really want the government to be involved in spreading everyone's money out. We will, however, try to promote the growth of the economy, jobs, and hopefully happiness for everyone. A third reporter raises his hand. Thank you, Presidente. One more question. Which of the following will the Helmet administration work hardest to improve? Infrastructure such as roads and utilities, services for the city dwellers, or living standards for the rural poor. I think I'm going to go with infrastructure such as roads and utilities. Let the people. We'll kind of help the economy by making commerce easier for traveling and such. Power for everyone, running water, stuff like that. Thank you, Presidente. We look forward to seeing you again after you have appointed the ministers of your cabinet. In the first year of your presidency, the harvest season ends and the dry season begins. See them working the fields quite heavily there. So let's see. Consultations, contacts, encounters. I think we have to go into consultation. No. Contacts maybe. I know it's not encounters. Let's check contacts. Yep. Got to assign my cabinet now. The people who will be advising me through my tenure here. Let's see, we will go to party dossier, and let's see, we have 4 administrators. Actually, let's go back real quick. We're going to go to the minister dossiers. We have, I don't know if you can see it, but we have the agriculture minister, the defense minister, the internal affairs minister, and the external affairs minister, and we have to fill all of those roles. So let's see, I'm going to check the Christian Reform group. We have Ignacio Nunez Laranjera. Formed in the 1940s as a popular alternative, Christian Reform had its heyday during the short-lived reformist government of Leonard Flores, 1950 through 1954. Long the only tolerated opposition party, it managed to avoid banishment even during the worst of the dictator's excesses. Its appeal is strongest among the small urban middle class, although it is also favored by elements of the coffee producers and the leadership of the Catholic Church. Let's see, we'll check out think, yeah, we'll check out all of them. Ignacio Nunez there, you can read through some of his stuff here. He's 43 years old, and in the several books he has authored, he has called for regaining the Campesinos' trust through limited land reform, pragmatic recognition of the political power of the military, timely preparation for elections, and improving ties with Europe. I don't really care for anything he's talking about there. Liliana Ortiz de Lanes is 47. Recent statements indicate her support for assistance to needy farmers, civilian control over the military, increased funding for education and healthcare, and stable relations all abroad. I actually like her so far. We are going to appoint someone from this group, and Francisco Ferrante Oberon. He's 52, and when the dust settles, Ferrante is usually found on the side of measures to increase the production of export crops, careful balance of the two newly merged military forces, protection of the rights of individuals, and stronger relations with major trading partners. I do like him too. We're going to appoint him. He's got good stuff for measures to increase the production of crops. Hopefully he can help balance the military so they don't tear each other apart. Yep, we'll appoint him to, let's see, he can be internal affairs. That seems what he'll be good for. I welcome this new opportunity to serve my country with a deep sense of humility. I will endeavor to prove myself equal to the task. And let's see. So what other party will we check out? We have the National Liberation Party and the Popular Stability. Oh, Gloria Jimenez Fleming, I remember you. Labeled an illegal criminal association by the dictatorship, the perseverance of the National Liberation Front in the face of brutal persecution put it in the forefront of the revolutionary movement. Some National Liberation Party leaders consider themselves Marxists. For others, ideas about social change are inspired by the interpretation of the Gospels known as liberation theology. Speaks for the large population of rural poor. Let's see, Gloria. 36 years old. In her articles and books, Jimenez has advocated for forceful land reform aimed at helping the landless, bringing army officers guilty of human rights abuses to justice, even retroactively, increased attention to the healthcare needs of the poor, and closer relations with socialist nations. Not yet. Not yet. Let's see what the other NLP members have to offer. Julio Olivares Las Casas, 39 years old. In his writings and sermons, he has called for sweeping land reform to help the poorest Americans to help themselves, curbing the abusive power of the military, and slowly draining their budget, a nationwide campaign to teach the poor to read, and reducing dependency on larger nations. We are going to not choose him. We don't want dependency on the foreign nations, but we do want strong relations with them. And this is Manuel Calderon Iglesias, 34 years old. In clandestine radio addresses during the insurrection to topple Forsante, Commandant Calderon called for sweeping land reform to share wealth and power with the poorest Americans, integration of the Revolutionary Army with progressive elements of the old army, promotion of a nationalist ideology, and non-alignment in foreign affairs. I don't really care for any of his choices either. Maybe I won't choose anyone from the NLP. Let's check out the Popular Stability. P.S. Formed during the last years of the dictatorship by rich landowners and industrialists fed up with the self-aggrandizement of the ruling family, Popular Stability has its roots in the old conservative party of Emilio Rosario. The party is supported by those army leaders who did not flee with the farsante, the cotton-growing elite, and by many less privileged Chimericans whose fortunes nevertheless depend on these powerful interests. So let's see, Bernard Whitmire Alvarado here. 47. In speeches and interviews he has spoken out in favor of encouragement of investment in large-scale mechanized agricultural projects, use of military to re-establish order, elimination of all restraints on trade and investment, and close ties with the United States and other Western nations. I do like the mechanized agricultural projects. We will get the workers out of the fields and into the factories, canning stuff. Maybe, I don't know if that's a better job than being out under the hot sun all day, but it'll hopefully boost the economy. Let's see, I don't know if I want to appoint him yet. Antonio Aljos Espinales. He's 56. From statements made over the years, his priorities are believed to be modernization of methods of export, agricultural production, increased military preparedness through U.S. aid and training, elimination of governmental corruption, and a maintenance of close ties with the United States. He likes their money. And what about you, Francisco Rosario Rosales? He's 38. The Rosarios have long advocated encouraging direct foreign investment in agriculture, strengthening of armed forces but without excessive foreign assistance, measures to stimulate industry, and maintenance of close ties with the United States. Direct foreign investment into agriculture, strengthening the armed forces, but not allowing foreign assistance. I like this guy. We're going to appoint him to, man, I don't know. I think that I'll put him as the defense minister because I do like his strengthening of armed forces, and we may ask him questions at other times. We have come a long way, but a hard road still stretches out before us. Let us move forward with boldness and decision. And Bernard Whitmire here encouraged investment in large-scale mechanized projects, elimination of all restraints on trade and investment. That'll completely free up the flow of capital. I don't know if that'll be good or bad. The rich could suddenly just make a money grab and swoop up everything. Close ties with the United States and other Western nations. Hang on. National liberation. Let's see. Gloria, I'm actually going to appoint you somewhere. Forceful land reform, increased attention, closer relations. Nope, never mind. I already changed my mind. Forgot I didn't much care for you. Manuel Calderon. Promotion of nationalist ideology, non-alignment in foreign affairs. Sweeping land reform. I don't want to really do sweeping land reform. That's my biggest fear. It's, huge, large-scale changes like that. I'm going to appoint Bernard Whitmire here to the agricultural minister for encouragement of investment in large-scale mechanized projects. I do like that. And let's see, Christian reform. Ignacio Nunez. We need someone with who do we have? We have external affairs left. So how do we want to deal with this? Improving ties with neighbors in Europe. Stable relations to all countries. I'll appoint her, because I also like that she's got assistance to needy farmers. She can help dole out the money and ensuring that they get some of this increased capital that'll be flowing around. Civilian control over the military, and increased funding for education and healthcare. It's always good to have something like that in mind. So we will appoint her to the external affairs, and she can advise us as well. America needs us, Presidente. Let us work together to make our land a place of prosperity, peace, and hope. Okay, so I think that's it. I'm not going to save it. I'm probably just going to do this in one complete playthrough. And let's see. We'll start our encounters. If I was reading correctly, I think you can do a certain number of encounters, and occasionally they'll trigger the next season change. Let's see, where do we want to go? I don't know who we should really start with. It's a tough choice. Industrialists, bankers, USA ambassador, coffee growers. I'm going to talk maybe to the shopkeepers. No. I'm going to talk directly to the farmers first off, see what's on their mind. Encountering Ernesto Alcron Mendez in the bean fields of Trinidad Province. 70% of Chimericán farmers own less than 5 hectares and grow 80% of the staple food crops of the Chimericán diet. Our agricultural minister will advise us during this encounter. Under the dictator, the National Bank was never interested in making loans to us campesinos. Credit came from the men who bought the crops. They took all the profits, and each year the campesinos owed them more. If this is truly to be a revolution, that policy must change. They are tired of having every last penny that they earn nickeled and dimed from them. They end up owing. Let's see. My proposal, make loans to the scattered food producers the first priority of the National Bank. Let's ask for advice. The economy of Chimerica is lame, but not yet crippled. If we are to restore her to health, our growers need generous lines of credit from the National Bank. At all costs, we must regain the level of export production we had in the years before the insurrection. He wants us to direct the National Bank to give priority to producers of export crops. And this guy wants loans to the scattered food producers. You know what? I want to help them just a little bit, so I will agree to his advice. This guy. We're going to lift them up a little bit. Not completely, I don't think. Agree to proposal. We'll do it. Alarcon takes off his hat, wipes his brow, and grins. The farmers and the children will be pleased. With money to buy seeds and tools, we will be able to grow so much corn. Never again will the child go hungry. We'll see next year how the harvest does. Whitmire looks troubled. The old man might have a heart attack. Very well, but as the old saying goes, it makes no sense to strip one saint bare to clothe another. It depends, what the saint is, Have another encounter. Let's do this. Guard leader, trade union leader. Bankers, maybe? Start discussing loans. IMF representative would be an International Money Fund representative. Let's talk to them, see if we can get something going on with our industry. I think they might be the ones to lend to us. Our External Affairs Minister will advise us during this encounter. Alice Beadle Sourwine. Decisions made by the International Monetary Fund, often called the lender of last resort, will decisively influence the choices other international financial institutions make about whether to extend loans to a given country. Banco de Chimerica. Let's do this. The new government of Chimerica faces many difficulties, but also many opportunities. Sourwine says encouragingly. I am pleased to report that we have approved a package of loans designed to stimulate the production of your primary export crops. She's proposing that we accept the loans. I'm going to ask for advice, of course. Liliana here wants to negotiate the rescheduling of debts and then secure further loans from the IMF. The confidence international financial institutions have shown in our new government is gratifying. We must hasten to make advantage of their offers of assistance. We'll accept it. It sounds good. It will be a pleasure, Sourwine says with practiced warmth, to be of some assistance in the economic recovery of your nation. I bet she does. Chimerica needs more of this thinking, Presidente, Ortiz says graciously. It will be a pleasure to carry this matter onward. Let's see. Message from the U.S. Ambassador Buffard. I am pleased to report that my government has decided to resume shipments of military aid to the Chimerican army. Arrangements are currently being made with Colonel Horatio Ehrlich. Oh, really? Let's see. Consultation. I want to talk to my Internal Affairs Minister. He is concerned about, let's select something. Nationalism, popular organizations, democracy, corruption. He's going to be concerned about improvements to infrastructure. Centuries ago, our Mayan ancestors used to pray, give us good roads, straight, beautiful roads. Here we are in the late 20th century, and our prayer is still the same. Poorly repaired roads mean time wasted in inefficient transport and money lost to frequent truck repair. My advice, invest in a modern economy through increased spending on improvements to infrastructure. I do accept his advice. I'll see the list of advice, but that is the one I like. Concentrate on export production is what the agricultural minister wants. The defense minister wants export production efficiency. The internal and the external affairs both want increased infrastructure, so we're going to do the increased infrastructure. Ferrante smiles with approval. To cross a river, you must be willing to get your pants wet. It's time to start wading, Presidente. I was trying to go to consult another minister, and let's see. An urgent report comes across our desk. It requires our immediate attention. Streets of Poyais. Thousands of urban residents, both workers and unemployed, marched through the streets of the capital protesting skyrocketing food prices. Union organizer Hector Ferreira Contreras is among them. Hector Ferreira tucks his hard hat under his arm and strides forward. Presidente, the situation is intolerable. The same beans that last week cost 1 chimera today cost 5. Workers with good jobs can barely afford to pay the family grocery bill. And what about the really poor? The ones with no jobs at all. They cannot even afford corns and bean. Something must be done. My proposal is to set food price controls for basic foods. I don't know if I want the government getting involved in prices and controlling shops. The shortages we hear about are a temporary phenomenon, which will correct itself in due course, even if thousands must starve to death to correct the course. We must avoid the temptation to interfere with the very market forces that provide the best long-term solution. Send the army to disperse the demonstrators and keep the streets clear of any vagrants. Harsh advice. I'm going to accept it, Bernardo. You better not lead me wrong here. Ferreira scowls with distaste. Where did you learn to cook up revolutions, he asks darkly. Any decent recipe calls for generous amounts of corn, beans, sugar, and milk. Watch out, Presidente. If the people find your gruel too thin, they may throw it back in your face. Well, we did, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be giving them loans, so they should be able to buy more land, they said. So this is just a temporary problem that will sort itself out. As it says in the book of Luke, which of you, intending to build a tower, setteth not down first, and counteth the cost, whether he have enough to finish it? A path has been foreordained for us, the path of fiscal responsibility and patriotic freedom. As long as we keep to that path, we cannot fail. If you say so, Bernardo. Let's see. So we have the bishop. No, I don't want to talk to the bishop. I probably won't be talking to anyone in the churches. Guard leader, USA ambassador. Let's talk to the shopkeeper now. I want to see what they think about our choices. Encountering Esmeralda Manzon de Osorio. Occidental Market, Poyas. It's the largest market in Chimerica, a sprawling complex of large market buildings and open-air stalls. Over 10,000 vendors, mostly self-employed poor women. Our agricultural minister will hold our hand through this encounter. I hope whoever came up with these mad dog ideas about price controls has learned a lesson. It's hard enough to run a store without interference from some government ministry official who thinks he knows my business better than I do. My proposal, promise not to institute price controls or rationing. I want to see what our administrator says. These are difficult times for the Chimerican economy, Excellency. It is time for tightening the belt and sacrifice on the part of us all. It is not a time for wildly raising people's expectations, encouraging dreamers who believe that the clouds are made of cheese, and all we have to do is cut the piece off. We must hold firm, refusing to serve up dangerous illusions. My advice, continue to train special army detachments in method of crowd control. That's a little bit harsh. I think we'll just promise not to institute price controls or rationing and not start spending a whole bunch of money training stuff we probably don't even need. So let's agree to the proposal. Senor Maison eyes you carefully and chews on her lower lip for a moment. Then she smiles. All right, Presidente. It's a deal. A wise move, Excelente. Excellence, Whitmire says with satisfaction. Firm action, correctly timed, can forestall all sorts of problems. Better to arrive early than to wait for an invitation. I really hope I didn't just accidentally sick the military on them or whatever he was originally proposing. I'm gonna have to look at the footage there and make sure, just so I know. Let's see. Have another encounter? Yeah, let's do that. Coffee grower, army colonel, doctor, landless laborer. Let's talk to the bankers. We will be encountering George Quezada Sanijin, National Bank of Chimerica, under the personal control of Antagio Forsante until his overthrow, since then managed by the Chimerican government. Your agricultural minister will advise you during this encounter. Yeah, let's continue it. Good day, Presidente. Quezada greets you, a bit stiffly. Laudable as may be the humanitarian intentions that motivate our current lending priorities, I must advise that they make little economic sense. Many campesinos will quite simply never be able to repay our loans, even on the generous terms we grant them. We must return to a focus on export crops if we are to maintain any degree of fiscal responsibility. His proposal is to shift credit priority back to the experienced producers of export crops. Let's ask for advice. The campesinos in the hills grow enough corn to feed their families, and pick coffee and cotton at harvest time to pay for the rest of their needs. This system makes sense and has worked for a long time. But now we suddenly give them money expecting an overnight transformation into business geniuses. Half of them go get drunk with it. The other half plant crops on the side of a hill where the first rains wash them away. Put whatever we have into cotton and coffee, I say. Sell enough coffee and we can import all the beans we need. I like his thinking, actually. This is pretty good sense. So, shift credit priority back to the experienced producers of export crops. I'm gonna have to stab the farmers in the back, I think. Yep. So on this dark night, in the bank, we sign the deal, and we accept this advice. Quezada raises his bulk from his chair and shakes your hand. And so it shall be, he says with conviction. Let us be glad in it. Whitmire nods. As it says in the book of Luke, blah-bitty blue-bitty blah. Let's have another encounter. Coffee growers. I don't want to go talk to them. They're probably going to be very unhappy at me. We will, however, go talk to the industrialists now and tell them they better start hiring these people at good wages. Encountering Thomas Diaz of Valenzuela at the garment factory in Poyas. Labor-intensive light manufacturing characterizes industry in Chimerica, still a relatively small part of the economy. Will be coached by our internal affairs minister. So let's see. The dictator's ouster, Diaz says carefully, has been purchased at the cost of considerable loss of investor confidence in the stability of our nation. We must take steps to calm fears that the new government will adopt radical, anti-business policies. I suggest, therefore, that labor agitators be handled firmly, so that we may regain the trust of our transnational partners. He wants us to direct the police to keep union agitators from corrupting the workforce. Let's see, what's Francisco say here? Guarantee unions the right to organize and strike. We are going to let people keep their freedom. I'm not going to train the police to sick on them. Let's see, after all, there is a certain justice to the demands we hear from our workers. For the sake of labor peace, I suggest we raise the minimum wage and allow unions to organize. I'll take your advice, Francisco. If you pay the musician before he plays, what kind of song are you going to get, eh? Diaz shakes his head. A bad song. A song with too much rum in it, for example, and too much pain. Ferrante gives a slight bow. Be assured, Presidente, that the loyal officials of our ministry will warmly welcome the news of this decision. Okay, so where are we going to go now? Rights activists? Should we talk to the rights activists? They should be happy with us. Let's see. Oh no, I don't think this is the rights activists. Gloria Mendoza de Lerma, mothers of the disappeared and murdered children. Estimates of the number of students, professors, labor leaders, and other disappeared and murdered Jamaicans run to thousands. Have another encounter. I don't want to go talk to her. What a sad story. TNC representative? What's TNC? Encountering Andreas von S. Weiser. Hacienda Chimburg, USA. Cattle ranch under long-term contract to Providential Foods. In recent years, the fastest growing American export has been low-quality beef destined for U.S. fast food outlets. This is almost like Tropico. Yeah, almost like Tropico, actually, like a text version of Tropico. So let's see, continue this encounter. Yeah, let's do it. Your arrival is like a breath of fresh air, Excellency, Weiser says with a smile. Those of us who had to deal with Farsante always felt a bit, well, compromised. It was like cutting a deal with a Latin version of the Mafia. We look forward to establish a mutually beneficial, completely above-board relationship geared to the full optimization of investor-oriented marketing potential. He wants us to allow free market principles to govern trade relations. Liliana here says establish a voluntary national marketing board to aid smaller export producers. The large export producers already have enough clout to get good terms when they sell to transnational exporters. But what about all the small producers, especially of coffee? they don't have enough leverage. We propose an alternative, a voluntary national marketing board to compete with private marketers, buying crops at the same floating prices offered to larger farms. So let's see. So instead of just, having 2 or 3 brands of American brand coffee that's, sold all over the place, we could have hundreds of smaller gourmet brand coffees that are shipped all over the place. I accept this advice. Weiser closes his briefcase with a snap. Well, I suppose that's it then, he says, masking considerable irritation with a feigned yawn. Whether we have anything more to discuss is entirely up to you. I cannot make my position more clear. You may take it, or we will leave it. Ortiz nods with approval. A wise choice, Presidente. Very much in keeping with our recommendations. We will go forward with renewed confidence. We will still have to be picky about what businesses we fund. So let's see, the Army Colonel. Let's go talk to the Army Colonel. Horacio Ehrlich Mercado. Encountering him. El Condor Battalion, Soldiers of Crack Rapid Response Group of National Reconciliation Army of Jamaica. Your defense minister will advise us. Let's do this. Colonel Ehrlich welcomes you briskly and proceeds to make his case. It takes work and discipline and experience to run an army. Yet there are those who would cast aside the voices of experience and reason and listen to young idealists who know only how to destroy. He fixes you with a penetrating stare that burns to your soul. To succeed will require that we be given a free hand. Do you understand me? My proposal is to continue to support his efforts to discipline the army. Let's see, what does Francesco say? He wants us to continue to support him as well. The army is a complex and delicate machine, Your Excellency. It requires constant maintenance at the hands of those who know it best. This is especially true just now, when we are trying to take parts from 2 different machines and make them run as one. Those who know it best are the professionals, like Joint Chief of Staff Ehrlich. Yeah, I will actually accept this advice. It is great advice. Taught with tension, the colonel seems to relax a bit. It shall be as you command, my Presidente, he announces with measured enthusiasm. Rosario nods with approval. Well done, Excellency. A brilliant choice, if I don't say so myself. In the first year of your presidency, the dry season ends and the rainy season begins. Are those parakeets or something? Budgeries? Cockatiels, maybe. Let's see. Someone to encounter. I want to go directly to the coffee workers. Now encountering Sergio Espinoza Castaneda, coffee-producing estate in Trinidad Province, formerly owned and by brother-in-law of dictator Julio Farsante. We'll continue this encounter. Presidente, many of the coffee pickers are really food growers, Espinoza says, gesturing at the crowd of workers. But to meet the needs of their families, they must also work as pickers for the coffee harvest. They are treated as the least important of our farmers, even though it is they who feed our people. Why should they not get credit from the bank, just as we coffee growers do, so they can grow more coffee or more corn and beans? His proposal is to divide the credit resources between the food growers and the producers of export crops. What does Bernard say? We have been given an historic opportunity to bring our country into the modern world. We cannot back down now. Though we are making progress, we could do more. We must continue to support the mainstays of our economic system. My advice, continue to concentrate our credit resources on the key export crops. I like the idea of divvying it up, though, of dividing it. Not all one way, not all to the other. Just a little bit. Yeah, I agree, Sergio. As the vanguard of the revolution, Espinoza declares, we support you 100%. Viva la revolution! Viva el presidente! Whitmire just shakes his head. We will follow you, Excellency, but remember, though you are our president, you have not the power of Jesus to turn water into wine. Nope, but I can turn money into beans and coffee, and then I grow that into more money, right? So let's see, we'll talk to, how about the trade union leaders? No. I want to go talk directly to the USA ambassador, L. Quentin Buffard. Aid from the U.S. may involve generous funding and technical assistance for various development project (AID), depending on the depending on the recipient country's strategic situation. It may also include training for police forces and direct allocations of currency to the Treasury, the ESF. Our External Affairs Minister will advise us during this encounter. Let's do it. We are pleased, the ambassador says warmly, to be able to offer development assistance to your nation. This assistance will be earmarked for private enterprises only. I should point out, all associated goods and services must, of course, be of American origin. Though we start off in a limited way, the potential exists for expansion as we slowly take over your country. We look forward to seeing what direction your new government chooses to take. He wants us to accept a North American offer of development assistance, and Liliana here says to accept it as well. Accept North American offers. The timely development aid offered by the United States will help us get back on our feet after so many years of the dictator's mismanagement. I'm going to put the proposal on the agenda. We will talk about it. Then we will have to wait, the ambassador says with quiet emphasis, to see how seriously your government stands by the high-sounding words with which it came to power. That which is done hastily is wept over slowly, but let us not forget to return to this matter once we have had time to reflect on it. This requires our immediate attention. Mothers of the disappeared. Hundreds of women, dressed in black, marched through the streets of the capital, carrying large crosses and banners reading, "Where are our children?" Spokeswoman for the mothers of Senora Gloria Mendoza Lieberman, or Lerma, whatever. Mendoza speaks with the voice of quietly controlled fury. "Presidente, it has been a year since the guard took my daughter away. With my own ears I heard her screams as their van disappeared into the night. Since that moment my life is hell. Every night in dreams she comes to me. 'Mother,' she asks, 'why does my murderer still walk the streets?' Will the torturers ever be prosecuted, Presidente? Many have not even been arrested. Can you at least force them to say where they buried our children, so we may put them to rest? My proposal, arrest the members of the defeated Farsante Guard." Oh, Francesca wants us to do it too. The crimes of the Farsante Guard are inexcusable. Our reputation is at stake. We must firmly demonstrate that in Chimerica the basic laws of civilized peoples are honored and upheld. I can't refuse it. I can't refuse either of them. I guess we will accept, yeah. Mendoza bows her head and stands silent for a moment, as if praying. Then she looks up, eyes moist. It says in the Bible, "How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace." Ferrante smiles with approval. To cross a river, you must be willing to get your pants wet. Troops loyal to Sub-Commandant Carrera occupy the offices of Radio Chimerica. Protesters march through the streets of the capital chanting, "No surrender! Stop the betrayal!" Carrera's calm eyes regard you without anger, but also without trust. "We have come to a crucial moment, Presidente. Over the last seasons you have allowed Colonel Ehrlich's power to steadily increase. Now he tries to remove the progressive forces entirely from this army of false reconciliation. Which side are you on? His proposal is to command Colonel Ehrlich to restore him to his position as the Joint Chief of Staff. And Francesco Rosario says, "Such dangerous uprisings cannot be tolerated. The situation presents us with a perfect opportunity to demonstrate the firmness of our resolve, and to cleanse the army of subversive elements once and for all." I have no idea who Carrera is, and who Erlach really is. What did Erlach get assigned in the revolution, and Carrera was the one that was there before, but the people we threw out of power? Francesco's my advisor, so I'm going to accept Francesco's advice. I trust you, Francesco Rosario. "I see," says the sub-commandant absently, seeming to stare right through you. "As always, we will maintain revolutionary discipline. But I wonder, which of us will still be here when the next revolution arrives?" That is more like it, says Rosario smoothly. Every parrot to his perch and every monkey tied to his rope. If we abandon our institutions and traditions, on what may we hope to build a stable future? And a message from Ehrlich, Mercandio, the chief of staff. After several hours of fighting, the traitorous members of the armed forces have been captured. My troops have dispersed to the crowd surrounding the radio station, and all is calm. The involvement of Sub-Commandant Carrera in this affair may be surmised from his rapid departure. My sources indicate that he has chosen to exile himself in Mexico. Excellency, your loyal troops salute you. Hurrah! Thousands of angry laborers stream in from the countryside to fill the square in front of the National Palace, chanting, "Give us land now." Claudio Aguilar speaks for the Land Now movement. Let's see, we have heard much talk about the reform of the land. This made us happy. At long last, justice. But what has come of this, my Presidente? The process is so slow, and we cannot wait forever. The land, salted with the sweat of our ancestors, belongs to those who have worked it for so long. We are tired of promises. We demand only what is rightfully ours. My proposal: announce plans to give power and wealth to the poor through a land reform program. And let's see what Bernardo has to write here. Who will pick the cotton if all the workers are busy with their corn and beans? We must face facts here. The laborers are uneducated people, with little knowledge of modern farming and management. The country needs to grow cotton and coffee to sell abroad, and agricultural workers are needed to pick them. To give these people control of the land we need for export crops would be economic suicide. My advice: America needs the workers just as they are. Yeah, I'm going with Bernard on this one. Aguilar scowls. Do you know the Bible, Presidente? In my base community, our young priest teaches us to read it carefully. There is a passage I like that goes something like this. And their houses shall be given to others, together with their fields. For all of them are greedy, from the poorest to the greatest. From the campesino even to the Presidente, they all tell lies. A wise move, Excellency, Mitwire says with satisfaction. Firm action correctly timed can forestall all sorts of problems. Better to arrive early than to await for an invitation. Workers seize land throughout the cotton-producing districts, provoking violent clashes with owners. Buildings burn, cars are tipped over, people are trampled to death. Thousands mass before the palace, demanding immediate title to seize land. Claudio Aguilar speaks for the Land Now movement. The time for waiting is over, Aguilar says, waving his hand before we can speak. Once I had a deaf old mule. To make her notice me, I had to make much noise, beat her with a stick, and wave my arms like a madman. That is why we are here. Blow the windows of your palace, President Mule. He wants us to grant titles immediately to land seized by the poor. Bernardo says to arrest them and throw the squatters in jail. Although the cotton-producing areas of Trinidad Province illiterate peasants seize land that does not belong to them, such a direct assault on private property is a most serious threat to our nation's stability. We must act swiftly and decisively to show the world how Chamerica deals with thieves. Yep, I'm going with you, Bernard, this time. Aguilar scowls. Yes. You just hawked this at me. Whitmire nods, as it says in the Book of Luke, and you need to learn some more verses too. Message from Chief of Staff Ehrlich. After a protracted battle, we have utterly destroyed a group of terrorists led by the notorious agitator and escaped convict Claudio Aguilar. Our troops sustained minimal casualties, while the enemy was nearly annihilated. Aguilar himself escaped, along with a number of his henchmen, but a company of our most experienced counterinsurgency troops has been assigned to pursue and capture him. I'm sure that they'll get him and kill him. I hope they will. So let's see, we're going to have a consultation with... No, not the Internal Affairs Minister. We've already talked to him. I want to talk to you, Bernardo. Disposition of the dictator's estates. Credit for the agricultural producers. Let's see, the government has no business managing farms. The faster the Fossante coffee estates can be returned to private hands, the better. There is no question about which of our farmers these lands should go to. They should go to those who have proven their ability to compete in the marketplace, and to buy up the smaller competition that was going to one day overthrow them. Sell the dictator's land to those with the financial clout to use it productively. Let's see, what do they say? The agriculture minister wants us to sell it to those with financial clout, defense financial clout. The affairs wants us to give it to the poor, and the external minister wants us to give it to the poor as well. For now, I'm gonna give it to the financial clout people. They can buy it up and hopefully use it wisely. A wise move, Excellency, Whitmire says with satisfaction. Firm action correctly timed can stop all sorts of problems. A message from Ricardo Guzman Macola, the Cuban consul. For some time, my staff and family have been in physical danger here in Jamaica. Repeated appeals to your security services bear unavailing. Finally, earlier this morning, a fire gutted my offices. Evidently a firebomb was thrown from a passing car. It is now impossible for the revolutionary government of Cuba to maintain a consulate here. I regret that I am unable to take my leave in person. The circumstances compel a speedy departure. So the people, for some reason, do not like Cuba being here, and they chased them out. It's kind of sad. Members of the ATCAF, the Coffee Workers Union, angrily protested the decision to sell state farms off to the highest bidder. Sergio Espinoza is the ATCAF spokesman. So, Espinoza growls, in broad daylight, just as the ripe fruits of the revolution are ready to be harvested, thieves appear and steal the crop away. The richest 5% already own 60% of the land, so why not to just give them the rest of it? Who is behind this betrayal of all that our revolution stands for? The reactionary fat cats known as popular stability, that's who! They want to keep the population stable, and that means keeping us poor forever. They want the status quo. My proposal turns state farms into cooperatives owned by the workers. Oh. Man, I'm tired of listening to my advisors. They're making me feel like a jerk. I want to once again turncoat here and go with Sergio. The people's liberation struggles continue, Espinoza says confidently. The virtues of the workers of Jamaica, our revolutionary spirit, is measured by our spirit of work. Infused with this spirit, we cannot fail. Our ministry will faithfully follow your directions, Excellency, Whitmire says. But be careful. He who sows the wind shall reap storms. Oh boy. Let's see. Who do I want to be yelled at by? Who's gonna curse at me today? No, I guess let's go talk to the teachers. We haven't talked to them yet. Leticia Azurdia D. Grandos, in the open air school of Tobecca Province. Total students at time of insurrection, 500,000. Population of students age 5 through 18 are 1.3 million. Number of teachers, 12,000. Presidente, half the population of our nation cannot read. Fewer still can even write their names. But is this so surprising when vast areas of our countryside contain no teachers and no schools at all? For too long we have neglected the needs of our children. We must establish schools and hire teachers to build our country's future. Let us begin at once. She wants us to increase funding for education. And so does Francesco. I like this. I get a good choice here. Schools throughout Jamaica suffer from decades of neglect. Classrooms, right employees lack books, chairs, and basic instructional materials. After years without repairs, school buildings are crumbling where they exist at all. I recommend a crash program to rebuild our schools, starting with those in the poorer neighborhoods of the cities. Yep, we'll agree to it. Well done, Presidente, Senora Azurdia beams. As if she had not actually expected you to come up with the correct answer. She puts a gold star on our forehead. In the long term, education is the best investment a nation can make. The children of our children will remember, and they'll be the ones to write about it. Ferrante gives a slight bow. Be assured, Presidente, that the loyal officials of our ministry will warmly welcome the news of this decision. In the first year of our presidency, the rainy season ends and the harvest season begins. And soldiers armed with submachine guns surround the National Palace. Over the radio, rebels announce a coup d'etat against our government already. Damn it, I thought we were doing so good. The telephone rings. Edged with a hard new boldness, the voice of Gloria Jimenez Fleming addresses you. You bastard, you old, I don't even want to say it. Good day, Presidente. The palace is surrounded. If you cooperate, you will not be harmed. In the courtyard sits a windowless military van, ready to escort you to the airport in exile. We shall say, perhaps, that you have stepped down because of imminent danger to your health. We've heard France is willing to take you in. In the name of the people of Chimerica, I command you to resign. I am not going to resign, Gloria. You can come in here and make me resign. Defiantly refusing to give in to the rebels, you prepare for the worst. The worst arrives on cue. Battle rages in the corridors and stairwells of the palace. His troops loyal to you fight the rebels to the last man. A grenade explodes in a nearby office and the palace begins to burn. Clouds of acidic smoke force your bodyguard to bring you out in the open. Tears stream from your eyes and blood drips from various wounds, grazes, and shrapnel. A burst of submachine gun fire and something seems to be wrong with your legs. Suddenly, you're viewing the room from 3 inches above the floor, gasping for air. A noise the battle dies down. A figure steps out of the smoky gloom, tinged with red, as everything now seems to be. Weaving through the pile of sprawling bodies, wearing an expression both wary and triumphant, comes Gloria Jimenez Fleming. In the end, all segments of Chimerican society united to overthrow Farsante. 40 years of notorious corruption and repression eventually isolated him internationally as well. When the United States finally cut off all aid to the country, it was clear that the days of the dictatorship were numbered. The short-lived regime that followed Farsante was led by an obscure politician named Plomp Helmet Punk. At the head of a broad-based junta representing each of the 3 major political alignments, with the support of the vast majority of the Chimerican populace, the new Presidente announced new priorities for the revolutionary government. Let's see. Free and open distribution of information, development that puts first priority on the growth of the economy, and improvement of the country's infrastructure. In the context of the day, this middle-of-the-road program suggested that the new government would endeavor to avoid further polarization of a society already deeply divided by haves and have-nots. A centrist course proved impossible to maintain, however, in the highly polarized political seas of late 20th century Chimerica. Faced with a choice between the appeals of the poor and the power of the rich, the president opted to side with the powerful. The new president soon proved unable to control the fractious rivalries that characterized the junta. Bold programs undertaken without sufficient preparation soon collapsed into chaos. Within less than a year, the government doomed itself with the contradictory moves that managed to lose the support of the majority of the people. I thought time was moving so much quicker than it was, apparently. I thought that these moves were actually spaced out a bit more. I guess not. The junta soon splintered it into its various factions. Popular support for the president gradually ebbed away. By the time tanks surrounded the National Palace demanding the president's ouster, there was little that could be done. The president courageously chose to resist the coup anyway, resulting in a bloody battle that took the life of the first post-Farsante Chimerican leader. In the forefront of the rebels succeeding to the presidency was a sometime member of the junta named Gloria Jimenez Fleming. The new president moved swiftly to consolidate power, reversing many key decisions. Permission to reproduce this excerpt from the Encyclopedia Pax Americana U.S. Tricentennial Edition is gratefully acknowledged. All copyrights, trademarks, blah-de-blah to everybody who has lawyers, and blah-de-blue to you. So, that's it. Not too bad. I do like this game. It won't be a year before I do this again. And hopefully next time I can actually make it further than a year. Maybe I can actually make it halfway through year 2 before I get overthrown. We'll see.